Welcome to the Chris Hanna Show, where business, as usual, gets a swift kick in the ass. If you're tired of the same old advice and ready to disrupt the status quo, you're in the right place. I'm cutting through the noise with bold strategies, unfiltered truths, and a no-nonsense approach to entrepreneurship, video marketing, and content creation. Buckle up, because it's time to level up, stand out, and dominate your market. This isn't just another podcast, it's a wake-up call for entrepreneurs and would-be aspiring solopreneurs who are all in. Let's get started. Welcome back to this episode of the Chris Hanna Show. I'm going to talk about the early days. I'm going to go back in time, a few years, to when I first started. See, when I started my business, All In Content, I was so passionate about it. I really wanted to have my own business. I wanted to do my own thing because I didn't like working for other people. And still to this day, I'm the same. I really do not want to work for other people. But I just acted as, honestly, as I would call a freelancer. I didn't act as a business owner. And I think I needed to learn some powerful lessons to help me. And today's episode, I was thinking about it, is really geared towards those people who do have more of a freelancer mindset, especially when they first start out on running their business. Because you got to change how you operate. You're not a freelancer when you're on your own, when you're a solopreneur. You're a business owner, but you got to think like one. And I'll tell you, early on I didn't. So I'll get to a little bit of storytelling as we go here today. Because like if you're still customizing every quote and you're still waiting on referrals and scrambling to deliver and fulfill at all hours of the day, you don't really have much of a business. Like, you've given yourself a job, but you don't have a business. And I know this because this is what I did early on when I first launched All In Content. So I'm going to break down how I finally stopped, I would say, the freelancing model and started building something that felt scalable. And I think that through this, I'm hoping those listening can also pick up some value from it. I think it's time to stop feeling like you're an employee of your own brand and start feeling like you're actually the CEO of your brand. So early on, when I first started creating All In Content, or at least what became All In Content, I was juggling a few core clients. I was editing at night. I was recording during the day. I was scheduling content in between, doing whatever I could. And there's obviously a lot of to-do lists and items that would pop up over time as well. I felt at one point, and I would say this is probably about 8, maybe 9, 10 months in, I started feeling really burnt out. This is something that I've wanted to do forever, right? I've always wanted to have my own business and have a business that was successful and making money and making an impact. But I was burnt out, and I started to become surprisingly resentful. I built this thing called All In Content, but the truth was, I was really just all in on being a freelancer. See, I was so fixated on the idea of, can I build a business that gives me freedom, flexibility, and fulfillment? I wanted all of this, and I did have some elements of it, but I was chasing and working harder than ever, and I just felt like I wasn't still getting ahead. I felt reactive, not strategic. I was doing custom quotes for everything, and I really had no boundaries. People were messaging me all the time, and I had no systems. And then I had a client struggle to pay, and they delayed their payment, and I realized something. I've created a job that kind of owns me. So that week, I decided I needed to make a decision. I can't do the custom quotes, right? And by that, I mean, like, I had at that point, probably 4 or 5 core clients, and every single one of them had custom deliverables, custom pricing, right? Different expectations across the board. I had some jobs. I had 3 clients that I can, recall in particular, that I had hourly commitments to working with them each week, which was also very, very frustrating. So I didn't want any more of the hourly BS shit. And I felt like I was also just waiting around for people to come to me. So what I did is I decided I'm going to sit down. I'm going to map out my offers, my prices, my timelines, my deliverables, everything I possibly have. And this is before really AI took off. This is me trying to come up with it the old school way, grinding through it, trying to figure it out. I did some research. I watched some YouTube videos. I reached out to people. I started following certain people who are, building what I basically had a version of trying to build in my head. And I started to build out packages. And I started to figure out these packages need to have boundaries. And I need to treat my business like a business. Not a hustle, not a passion, but a machine. And would you know? When I started looking at it the right way, that's when my business really started to grow. You see, I think the freelance mindset is killing the growth and the possibilities and the potential of so many businesses out there. You see, a lot of people, they'll jump from, say, a corporate world or work for other people and say, hey, I'm going to be a solopreneur or I'm going to start to freelance. And freelancing maybe feels safe. It's familiar. It's dipping your toe in. It's kind of doing a little bit of everything. But I think it keeps you small. And when you're small, that can also lead to, honestly, a feeling of like hell all around you and chaos all around you. I think it's important to remember that freelancers, they wait sometimes more for business to come, whereas CEOs of businesses, they actually lead. And I wanted to lead. You know, I think when I was in this mindset of being a freelancer, I would wait for clients to come to me. I'd wait for referrals. I'd wait for someone to discover me, right? I'm using air quotes there, but you can't see it because this is obviously a podcast, but like I wanted people to find me. A business owner, though, it's different. They market, they pitch, they build systems. And I think if you're not proactively, and I wasn't early on, trying to generate leads, trying to create authority and control my calendar, well then at the end of the day, you're nothing more than this freelancer, contractor who's at the mercy of the market. Now, early on, I said that like my packages or lack thereof, like the offers at least that I sold to my clients at the time, were about time, right? Freelancers sell time. Businesses ultimately sell more results. So I was charging hourly, which means I was selling my time. But of course, time is limited, right? And you become the bottleneck. And I was the bottleneck in my business. But I didn't think of it as a business. I thought, this is how many hours I have that I can sell this, and this is how much I value myself per hour, and this is what I'm going to charge. And it just wasn't an effective way to do it, because then people were holding me to certain hours versus caring about what the outcome was. Because that's what real businesses care about. Outcomes. They package, they productize, they create leverage, but hourly work is a trap. And I think freelancers get stuck in that. And that's what I did. I priced myself and built my business around an hourly model, which to this day now, I'm like, I won't do anything that's hourly based. Flat rate packages based on value ultimately were what helped unlock scale for me. Now, when I think about also that freelance mindset, I think freelancers maybe hustle and they're kind of all over the place, but businesses ultimately systematize. And I think that's something that I needed to do. And I'm still probably, at times working on it because my business is very much in a state of flux at this moment. As we're recording this, there's lots of going on and I'm, looking at different services to bring in, but we have to systematize, right? My business back in the day when I first kind of launched it, would feel an impact if I took a day off. And if you are finding that your entire business fails or crumbles when you take a day off, well, you don't really have a business. You've got burnout that's basically waiting to happen. So it's eventually about building the right systems and SOPs. And if you don't know what SOPs are, that's standard operating procedures. It's building the right processes, maybe some automation. Obviously, this is the boring shit that some people don't like. As someone who does not like doing that, I hate routine. It is the stuff that's honestly really important because that's what helps create more freedom for you. So if you want to really try and go from being, I'd say, the freelancer to a business builder, here's the blueprint that I finally used and came across that helped me take the leap, because it was important that I did level up. I always theme my years, and between year 1 and year 2 of all-in content, I had the theme of leveling up. And it was intentional because I realized I had to take it to the next level to ultimately get to where I wanted to be. And so the first thing was to build out packages with clear pricing and clear deliverables. Initially, I was thinking maybe I do not have pricing on my website. I didn't want to be super transparent. I didn't want someone to be locked in. I didn't want someone to have sticker shock. But then I realized I have to put something that's, more specific on my site. I didn't want to reinvent the wheel, and neither should you. So I created what I called 2 to 3 packages, right? I wanted something that's going to solve a real pain point, that was something that was easy to explain, and had the pricing and the turnaround times listed, especially for what I was doing. I wanted to make it super simple for someone to see it and then say, yes, that's what I need. See, my whole thought was, I'm going to create content because obviously I'm a content business. I'm going to create videos, and I'm going to then hopefully get people who see that content, want to do business with me. As they do business, then there's an opportunity for them to ultimately go to my website and say, you know what, let's see what this guy has to offer. And then they would find, literally, they would find the package that most suited them. And then you get the old email consultation that someone's booked time in your calendar using Calendly, and it was great. And so to me, that was really important, that like building out those right packages. When I didn't have it, when I wasn't super clear, it was painful. So again, there's 3 key elements that I want to reiterate here that I think are really important. Have 2 or 3 packages first. I call it, either good, better, best, or, kind of high, medium, low in terms of those packages and pricing and deliverables that you're going to have. Make sure it's solving a real pain point for me. There's a few pain points that I solve, but, it's whether it's people who are invisible right now, or they've maybe worked with other video agencies out there or videographers and they've struggled to get, content back right away. So the timeliness factor. There's also the quantity of videos maybe that someone's looking for, how many months they want to basically be able to get ahead and build a library. So those are the pain points that I was trying to make sure my packages had. I wanted something that was easy to explain, super simple, right? The easier it is, I always say that simplicity scales, complexity fails. And having, again, the pricing and the turnaround time. So then people would know. And I recently just did this, actually. I kind of revamped all my offers across the board, where I'm like, a half-day session with me now is like 50 videos max. Like you're in 4 hours, you're getting 50 videos max, no more. Right? We're going to aim for that. If we can get there, great. On average, people are between that 30 and 40, but some people are going to get the 50. I've had some people overachieve in it early on and get like 100 videos in 4 hours, and then I'm losing so much money because it's not profitable. So I had to put some caps, and I got to be clear. Now, the next thing, though, that you really have to do, and this is something that I'll admit was initially a real big struggle for me, is to set non-negotiable boundaries. If you really want to build a business and not just feel like a freelancer. Because freelancers say yes to everything. And there's times we're desperate as business owners, right? We do want to say yes to everything if someone asks us to do something that we probably shouldn't do. But CEOs themselves of successful companies, they say yes to growth. They say no to distractions. They say no to things that don't really make sense. So in your case of my business, I had to make sure that I was setting kind of more policies for what's the revisions, what's the response time, what's scope creep that's maybe taking something beyond being a profitable project. What happens when there's late payments, right? You got to build in boundaries, because when you build in boundaries, you get respect, but you also make sure that you are remaining profitable. I think far too long, I let it go, and there's probably still some things I still could probably create better boundaries around that, that hurt me, I think, early on, because I just did not have these things in place, right? Like, what am I doing if somebody, doesn't pay me on time, right? Like, yeah, maybe a day or two here, like they could be late, but what happens if they're a week late, right? What if they're weeks? What if they're a month behind? You shut their content off, right? What do you do? And so you have to build in some of those processes, and I think each business is different. I said it earlier, but I think that's worth repeating here too. To take yourself from freelancer to business owner, you got to look at systematizing what I'll call the repetitive shit, right? If you do something more than twice, make it a system. You can use tools like I mentioned previously already in this episode, Calendly. Calendly I use for booking. I've used Calendly now for years, and it's the service that I'm going to continue to do. From a content perspective, I've got certain tools that I always use to make sure I'm scheduling my content out. Maybe you're using AI now, because AI is obviously so prevalent over the last few years, and maybe you're using that for certain parts. Maybe there's certain tools that you're using from a client onboarding perspective. Maybe there's certain templates that you do for deliverables. Like I just quoted a couple of jobs yesterday, and I decided, I'm going to create a brand new template for me to do quotes, so it's branded, looks a certain way, and looks sharp, and has my colors, right? My black and gold, I call it. It's not about being lazy when you're starting to try and build the repeatable model. It's about being efficient. You see, when you're efficient, that's when you really gain time back. I talked about marketing, and I think it's important because this is obviously a company that I have that is in the marketing space. You got to market like a business owner, not just like a brandless contractor. So build authority with regular, consistent video content. You've heard me say it once. You'll hear me say it many, many times. Video is the best way to share who you are, what you do, why you do it. Also, have social proof. I also found at this time when I refined my offers and I started to, pump out the regular content that was really important to what I talked about, having the social proof of video testimonials and actual testimonials of people who have worked with me and supported me, or Google reviews, was critical. I mentioned from an offer perspective too, of course, having that clear messaging makes sense. And lastly, I think it comes down to having the CTAs that drive sales. What can you do to spur people to take action? You see, I think a lot of people, and I was so guilty of this early on, post for the sake of posting. I just need to get something out there. It doesn't matter what it is. But you have to be intentional with it. Don't just post for engagement, post for conversion, right? Every piece of content that you put out there, how does it help you? Win business, or let's call it repel business, right? This is something that I think that's really worth kind of pausing on here for a second. Content, in my opinion, is either going to win you business or it's going to push business away. And sometimes that's okay. Maybe you need to realize that not every customer is your customer, right? There are customers, there are jobs, there are things that you do that you should not spend your time doing. And that's the importance of marketing, right? To kind of attract the right type of client, business, partner, whatever it's going to be. So again, if you're maybe done playing small, and you finally want to build a real business out of your skills, not just a job that maybe you grow to hate or get frustrated by, happy to chat, happy to talk. At All In Content, we want to help you look, sound, and sell like a brand. We're going to batch your content, edit everything, build your authority online, so you focus on scaling, not scrambling. So again, this is my little soft sell here. Maybe it's a little more than soft. Go to All In Content, book your session with us today. Schedule time to understand, who we are and what we do. Check out our website. We're very transparent on everything in terms of our pricing. And it's an investment, right? It's not a cost. It's an investment to work with us because you're investing in yourself. More importantly, you're betting on yourself. And again, as you know, if you are a longtime listener, if you are part of the Chamber of Commerce, you get $500 off our signature package in terms of the half-day session as well. Or if you want us to manage your content, post it for you, we've got different tiers and pricing available too. And again, everything's super transparent. My closing thoughts, though, are this. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you do not leave a 9-to-5 to build a business that is worse than your old job. At least I hope you didn't. You're not a freelancer anymore. You're a founder. So act like it. Build systems, raise your standards, package your value. Again, this is the Chris Hanna Show. And I think if this episode hit you, if it made you feel like you just took a brick to the face in the best possible way, share it with someone who is still stuck in what I call hustle hell. Because being all in doesn't mean being all over the place. It means going all in on building something that works without you. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks for tuning in. All right, that's a wrap for today's dose of reality on the Chris Hanna Show. If you're fired up and ready to kick some serious ass, then I've done my job. But remember, knowledge without action is just wasted breath. So what are you going to do? Sit around and let opportunities pass you by? Or are you going to step up and take what's yours? The choice is yours, but don't expect sympathy if you choose the easy road. If you've got value from today's episode, smash that subscribe button, leave a review, or share it with somebody who needs a wake-up call. Don't keep this gold to yourself unless you're afraid of a little competition. Stay bold, stay hungry, and remember, always go all in. Until next time, this is Chris Hanna signing off. Now go out there and take what's yours.